It's a beautiful night on the campus of Elmhurst University where I teach as an adjunct, and I've got some news. I got a raise. Well, all adjuncts got a raise, but it's twice as good for me because I'm teaching 2 classes this semester, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do with all the extra money and what a raise actually looks like for an adjunct. So tap the like button and let's get started. Hi, I'm James Callahan, and this is the Do-Over Show, and yes, I got a raise. Before I tell you how much more money I got extra, new concept, I want to tell you about my story about where I've come from as an adjunct.
What?
A raise.
You kidding me?
Well, come on, look, see how much it is.
You gave me a raise. Thank you. I can't believe this.
Whoa, you better look first.
I don't gotta look. It don't make no difference. You gave me a raise. That's the important
It's
thing.
only $2.50.
So what?
It's $2.50. It ain't much.
The important thing is it's a raise. I think that's really great.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give you $3.50, all right? Next
do
week
not
I'll
have
give you
to,
$3.50.
Mr.
I'll give you
Fusco. I
$1
like the
more.
raise. This is
Well,
the way
wait.
it is.
Shut up, will you?
Like the majority of adjuncts, I worked for the money. I did it for the money so that I could live. That is, I had a young family, I had a job, it paid all right, but everything was more expensive. Kids needed shoes, I like to eat, it's nice to have a place to live, so I adjuncted and I spent every cent that I earned as an adjunct just to live with a young family.
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
And that's the way about 1/3 of us who work as adjuncts, that's how they live. That is, they adjunct for their living or try to make a living primarily by adjuncting at several schools in an area, cobbling together a life, driving from here to there, grading papers as they said at a stoplight. You've been there, you know you've done that. And that means that about 1/3 of us who are trying to adjunct and make a living as adjuncts primarily are barely getting by and probably living on public assistance. And the adjunct numbers haven't been changing lately. In fact, they might be getting worse. But no one's really taking a deep look at them. And I scour the internet for updates and articles and reports and evaluations. And I try to look at individual schools to figure out how much are they paying? Are they paying more? And that's why I'm sharing with you the increase that I received this semester so that we'll get some more information out there and we can learn, are things getting better or worse? Now, first of all, what is an adjunct? If this is new to you, here's a surprise. More than 50% of those teaching at colleges and universities that are listed as faculty are not full-time tenure track faculty. They're either full-time non-tenure track or they're single course, single semester. You get the contract the week before the course starts, kind of adjuncts. The average pay nationally is about $3,500 per semester course for a 15 or 16-week course. Now, it's as low as $1,800 in smaller markets, and it can be as high as $5,000 or more in larger metropolitan areas. But that story hasn't changed over the past 10 years. Yes, nearly 25% of adjuncts rely on public assistance. 40% struggle to cover basic household expenses. Nearly 1/3 of the 3,000 adjuncts surveyed in a recent report, well, recent a couple years ago, make less than $25,000 a year. And that basically means they're living in poverty. And another 1/3 make less than $50,000, just above the poverty line. If you got kids, you're back in poverty. So that's the reality of what it's like to be an adjunct. So let's look at the money story. Now, not just for adjuncts, but for everybody, especially early in their career, we miss out on this, and that is that there are really 2 types of money stories available to us. The first one is we spend everything we make. So the more we can make, the more we spend, and we increase our standard of living along with their income level. So for adjuncts, that means that we're perpetually trying to get more money, add another course, teach 5, 6 courses, depending on what will allow us to do, just so we can make more money because we need to spend more money just to live. I know, things like books. Remember what it was like to buy books? People say that Erasmus of Rotterdam once said, when I have money, I buy books. With what's left over, I buy food. Now, the second money story, the one we're completely unfamiliar with that no one tells us about, is this. When you actually get money, extra money, I know, odd concept to us, foreign, I get it, but when you get more money than we need to live by adjuncting, we don't want to lose it. The second money story, whether it's from Warren Buffett or other billionaires or whether it's a poor adjunct like you and me, what we're after is when we get that money, we don't want to lose it. Now, usually that means we adopt a scarcity mindset and we save. Saving, reserving, hiding, holding back, protecting. But that's not the way money actually works. And the more we end up just putting it aside and saving it, with inflation, cost of living increasing regularly, we're actually falling behind. And our saving is actually hurting us. And that's not the way money works. Money works when we put it to work, when we're actually able to not just save, but to invest it. Invest it in ourselves, invest it in things that can pay us while we're sleeping. That is, invest in things like stocks, value stocks that pay dividends, or growth stocks that increase in value, or even crypto. Yes, I put money into crypto. But in order to do that, that means that we've got to start building a career. We're not going to make a regular living anything more than paycheck to paycheck or living in poverty if all we're doing is adjuncting. So we've got to take our transferable skills, the capacity and the skill set we demonstrated in grad school to get our degree or MA or Ph.D., and actually apply it to a career, not just a job, where we can apply our transferable skills, our capacity for learning new things in order to grow something that has stability and actually can increase within a career path. Yeah, a job is one thing. A career is how you can actually live. Okay, so now about my story. Now, I've taught at 8 or 9 colleges, universities. I've taught in public and private settings. I've taught grad and undergrad courses. And like I said, I've taught for as little as, say, $2,500, $2,600, $2,700 to today, $4,000 per semester course. So my raise this year was over 5%, which is big. The average raise every other or every third year has been 1 to 2% for adjuncts at Elmhurst University, but this year, 5%. Now I'm at the top tier because of my 20 years of experience. So I went from $3,800 per semester course to $4,200 extra. But for extra, I know, there's that word again. But for me, it's not just $400 total because I'm teaching 2 courses this semester. By the way, most colleges and universities limit the number of courses you can teach at that college or university. At Elmhurst, you can teach 3 over an academic year. So 2 this semester, 1 last semester, academic year, 3 max. Who set up that rule? The full-time faculty, the tenured faculty, because they're trying to protect the integrity of teaching in higher education, which means it made it more difficult for you to make a living if you want to do that full-time. It also guaranteed you wouldn't become a de facto full-time employee of the college or university. But that means that you have to go to other colleges and universities and teach a 2 or 3 or 4, depending on where you live, in order to try to make a living doing it. Thanks, full-time tenured faculty, for making the world such a better place. So that $400, that extra money, it's actually not $400 extra, it's $400 more extra. More extra? Extra more? You get the idea. I'm teaching 2 courses at $4,000, that means $8,000. $8,000. That's the extra to me. Why? Because I have a career that pays the bills, pays me well. That's what I'm trying to build. I built it. So now what do I do with the money? I put it to work for me. I invest it. Now, I can show you a snapshot of some of my investments, an investment account with growth and value stocks that I put a regular amount in. Whatever paycheck I get from my adjuncting, I put 100% of that into an investment account for either growth or value stocks, or into an account where I buy crypto, dollar cost average. Now, I could show you just a flex. I've been dollar cost averaging in, say, Bitcoin and Ethereum and a couple altcoins. But for Bitcoin, my cost basis is a little over $32,000. Bitcoin now is almost at $70,000. So yeah, I've got a 110% increase over that. That wasn't always the case. For a long time, I was underwater. But I can show you that snapshot, but that's not reality for most of us. Reality for most of us is not that we have to capture something that's going to go to the moon, but we have to learn to put our money to work for us in boring, ordinary, patient ways. My analogy is something I learned from listening to other larger investors, people like Warren Buffett, who said, you buy a house in order to live in the house. The utility of a house is that you have someplace to live. That it increases in value, benefit. Bonus, that's extra. But you don't sell the house the next day if the cost of the house or if the housing market crashes. You live in the house. Maybe you can't afford a house. I get it. So let's talk about something you can't afford. Maybe a chair. You buy a chair to sit in a chair. You don't sell the chair the next day if the cost of chairs plummets and you say, oh, I bought it at the top. You sit in the chair. The ability to invest our money, not just buy things, to spend things, but to put our money to work for us in investing, That's what they don't teach us in grad school. They don't teach us how, when we're going to give ourselves to the field, especially in humanities, where there is this investment in other people that doesn't yield a corresponding or reciprocal investment in us as teachers, that is, our pay is going to be lower than fields that exponentially increase the outcomes or the pay of the students. Our majors in humanities fields do not have an exponential upside. We're not in that market. We're in the doing good and helping people live fuller, well-rounded, more informed lives. Yeah, you know who you are. Which means that we have to put ourselves in that role and learn to invest in ourselves. Now, the sooner we can get ourselves into that investing in ourselves, putting our money to work for us, and learning how to have extra so that we don't want to lose it kind of mindset, the better off you'll be, even if you're an adjunct. How do I start that? Pay yourself first. Before your bills, before rent, before gas, before your car insurance, put aside at least 10%. You can put aside just 1/10 of what you get in each paycheck, or try it. Put it aside. Don't touch it. Invest it. Don't just hide it, because the savings account, you end up losing money with inflation. Put it to work for you and let it do its job. That's the kind of patience, the kind of long-term investing in ourselves that we did when we went to grad school in the first place, spending 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know who you are, years trying to get our degree. We were investing in ourselves. It cost us something. Even if you were on a scholarship, we deferred everything else in our life so that we could strategically alter our lives by investing in ourselves. Do the same thing with money. And please, share some of your story below. If you're adjuncting, tell us how it is that you live, how you get by. Do you have another job? Do you work at multiple universities? Maybe you even want to say how much you make. Just give us a ballpark figure and share your story in the comments below, because there's very little transparency in this area. And we're doing our best to get the word out. Hey, and thanks for being part of the Do Over Show. Please, while you're down there telling us your life story as a struggling adjunct, could you tap the like button, because it really helps an adjunct like me. And while you're doing that, how about you subscribe and ring the notifications bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'm so glad you found me, and I found you. Thanks.